Today I want to talk to you about otters and predation. One of the main reasons that I actually got involved in Embryo is otter predation. I've seen the effects of otter predation firsthand on fisheries, on places I love, on places I've got a lot of passion for, and it can be pretty devastating. I've sat there and felt pretty helpless to see what's going on, and as a wildlife lover, as someone as a child who got involved in fishing because of nature and watching the natural world unfold around me, I'm certainly not anti-otter in any way. They're beautiful animals, they're great to watch, awesome creatures, but the impacts that they have on fishing, and particularly the specimen fishing that I love, is significant. With Embryo, what we've been trying to do is offer a really good, positive solution to this problem, namely fencing. Over the last year, Embryo has been focusing on donated fencing to mainly open access clubs, putting in either the lion's share or all of the funding towards clubs in Cornwall and Essex. And although this has been a great success, what I want to do, and as I said with my personal interest, is to really develop this into an option for everyone, for syndicates, for clubs, for anyone who's got an issue or potentially will be having an issue with predation. We want to offer a really realistic cut price solution to this. With me today is Simon Scott. I'm sure most of you will know him already, but for those of you who don't, Simon's been involved in the fisheries industry for years. He's been senior lecturer at Sparsholt for upwards of 20 years and run his own very successful fish farming business for at least a decade now. Simon's going to give you a breakdown of where we are at the moment with otters, essentially, the population, and what it means for you as a club or a syndicate going forward.
Well, I'm Simon Scott and I'm one of 4 directors here at VS Fisheries. We're a large carp farming establishment in the south of the country. And today we're sat on the edge of one of our research systems in a rather frosty fish house, and it's a good spot to sit and chat about a very, very contentious subject, that of otters. Now, in the 1970s, through the use of organochlorine insecticides, otter numbers were absolutely rock bottom. We know that it was just a handful of very small isolated populations in the UK, some in Wales and some in Devon. And at that point, if you look at where carp fishing was at, carp fishing was, underground carp were largely considered to be an uncatchable species back then. Since then, things have changed on 2 fronts. Firstly, carp fishing has literally exploded. There are now carp fisheries up and down the country. Massive chains of gravel pits that were dug out to build houses and roads have been flooded and have been turned into very successful carp fisheries full of large, valuable fish. The other thing that's changed is because of the position we got to in the 1970s with otter numbers. They were so low, critically endangered in fact. There's been an enormous conservation drive across the United Kingdom and on a wider level Europe as well to try and get otters back on the map. And that has been a success, and it's considered one of the massive conservation successes of the last 50 years, the re-establishment of otters. And we've got a problem now because we've got lots of fisheries full of expensive, large, very highly prized and cherished fish. On the other hand, we've suddenly got this native apex predator about. Its numbers are coming back up as the big drive to improve water quality and habitats has been successful. Otter numbers have come back, and of course there's a conflict. And I would liken it to somebody that said, well, I'd like to keep some chickens in my garden. I would say to them, well, if you're going to keep chickens, great, you're going to get an egg or 2 every day, hopefully, and you get the enjoyment of having those animals in your garden. But if you're going to keep chickens, you need to protect them from the fox. And I would say that applies exactly the same to carp. If you are going to have a valuable carp stock in a fishery in this country now, you are going to have a problem with an otter at some point. Now, it might not have appeared yet, but in the next few years, I would expect that otter will arrive at your fishery, and he eats fish. That's what they eat. And they'll take on carp of 50 pounds, which is priceless and very, very old as well. If you are going to have those sorts of fisheries, you need to protect those stocks. Okay, so you're listening, you think, right, well, we haven't got an otter, but we might do. What are we going to do about it? Well, there are options. The first thing I often hear people say is, well, if I get an otter, I'm going to go out and shoot it. But that is against the law. And unless you want to spend time in one of Her Majesty's prisons, it's probably advisable not to go for option A. So option B, sound deterrence, smell deterrence, dogs. Over the last 10 years or so, all of these have been tried. People have had dogs running around their fisheries. They put out radios to try and make some noise. They put out smell deterrents to try and keep the otters away, and unfortunately none of these work. The otter is a very adaptable species, like a badger, and although it might initially go, "Oh, I don't like the smell of that," or "I don't like the noise," eventually they'll get used to it and they'll come and investigate the potential food source. So the only option really now is you've got to get a fence up, and it can't just be a quick chuck up fence. It needs to be something significant and substantial that will last for many years. And they are absolutely fantastic diggers and brilliant climbers. And if you've got a wooded fishery and a bit of an old fence, they'll climb straight over on a tree and get in. And this is quite a big animal. So it's a powerful animal. It will push under fences. So if you're going to fence your fishery, you need to do a proper job at it. You know, yes, a simple chicken wire fence might protect you for a year or two, but why put up a fence that's going to last you a year or two and then have to redo it again? I would suggest make a big fence and make it properly and make it to last.
And then that brings us on to Stuart Dayborn. Now, Stuart works for us at Embryo. He's a fencing supremo. He's been involved in sort of heavy machinery, everything to do with fisheries for, again, upwards of 20 years.
Hi, I'm Stuart Dayborn. Recently got involved with the Embryo project approximately a year ago now. Got 20 years plus experience, fishery work, groundworks, working with all aspects of machinery, from digging lakes right down to a few pathways around and some swim building. Now got myself into the challenge of this fencing project. Really like the ethos of the Embryo setup, and it's great to be involved. Since becoming involved with Embryo, we've done some donation projects all the way down in Cornwall. We've done one up north. The fencing solutions we offer are a 2.1 high wire, which is vertically dug directly into the ground, covered back over with the crank approximately 1.5 metres above the ground. We also offer a 1.8 metre wire, which doesn't have the dug in ground skirt. It is naturally laid on top of the ground and then covered over afterwards. Both of these options come with the 45-degree cranked top to stop otters climbing up and over the top of the fence. The wire we use is a 2mm thick, high tensile galvanised setup that has a very good lifespan. The wooden posts we source for the fencing all come with a 15-year guarantee. I often get told it's impossible to fence this fishery, this problem, that problem. Well, over this last year, we've built up the kit and the experience and expertise to overcome most problems. We can do a 1,200–1,500 metre fence in 2 to 3 weeks. That on average would take the average club, syndicate, months and months of solid hard work to achieve. We're not interested in making profit. All we need to do is cover our costs to install the fence, and what we can fully install an otter fence for, most clubs, syndicates would be getting charged just for the materials.
In summary, if your lake has an issue or you suspect you're going to have issues in the near future, get in touch. We can offer a service that might be a lot cheaper than what you expect. And as far as the challenges and things that go along with fencing, we've got solutions to a lot of these problems. You see the website below, get in touch.